On the 14th of February 2018, a devastating shooting occurred at Stoneman Douglas High School. Out of the tragedy came a movement, led by some of the student survivors of the massacre. It was called Never Again. The Never Again movement is an organization advocating for tighter gun control. One of their goals, which was reached on the 24th of March, was a protest. It was named the March for Our Lives. The rallies reached over 700 locations in the US only, and 37 other countries across the globe. While there was positive coverage, there was also negative representation of not only the movement, but the leaders themselves. Firstly, I wanted to see how the rally was covered in media sources that lean more towards the left. CNN is not necessarily biased towards liberal causes in relation to factual reporting, but instead of their story selection and choice of words. For word preference, an example is this article. Right off the bat, the phrase "pulled off" in the title has positive connotations of feelings like accomplishment. Throughout the article, they use words like historic and nascent to describe the movement. These words are encouraging and favorable. For story selection, the article is literally a list of 9 things the Parkland students did right. There is nothing negative mentioned about them, only sympathy. For some contrast, I'm going to show 2 examples of right-wing media coverage. I feel as though it's important to show how a big news corporation thoughtfully undermined the movement and how a smaller pundit managed to create blatant lies using misleading context. The way that Fox covered the March for Our Lives movement was Fox found that they only spent 6% of airtime on the movement. Furthermore, their coverage of the march was often then put into a specific context by pro-gun activists and pundits. What Fox did was they laid their coverage out around the Second Amendment, not gun control. On her segment on Fox, Tomi Lahren said that,
"You don't get to chip away at the Second Amendment simply because you don't find it useful. The first step to oppression is disarming the citizenry."
However, the students have said numerous times that their goal is not to take away all guns. Anyways, what's significant is not only that they're making inaccurate claims, but also that they're creating a moral panic. Moral panics can result in the passage of new policies that target the source of the panic. In this way, moral panics can lead to increased social control. In this case, the panic being the abandonment of the Second Amendment. As for pundits, take a look at this example of an article from a website called The Gateway Pundit by Lucian Wintrich. One of his main points was that Hogg, being the son of a retired FBI agent, was a deep state pawn. At the end of the article, Wintrich writes directly to the reader. This gives his article a motive to convince, not report. There were other conspiracy theories in the story, but what matters is the negative light that they're putting David in. All they did in the article was attack, vilify, and discredit him. They were able to do this because of the democratization of the media, allowing anyone, anywhere to select and deliver media, in contrast to the old gatekeeper model. We tend to read news that support our worldview. This means that we are more likely to share it, spreading fake news. In this situation, it is not so much fake news, but it's just a bunch of conspiracy theories. Now let's look at a neutral source to give us a break, the British Broadcasting Corporation. But first, what makes a news source trustworthy? The BBC Academy has a course on this exact topic. They ask 4 main questions. These first 2 don't really need to be put in depth because the BBC is an actual organization that's been around for a while now. On any page that you visit on the BBC's website, it'll provide a link to this article, which explains how the BBC are trying their best to be transparent and trustworthy. They make several claims about not being afraid to admit and correct mistakes. Alright, back to the article. Here, they recap what happened at the march without signs of misleading claims or out-of-context information. The article acts as a source of neutral, accurate information for the public to then form their own view upon. So what do you think? Do you think the Parkland students were represented fairly?